Big news, Joe Budden leaves Spotify to go over to Patreon. He's taking his very popular podcast over to Patreon. If you don't know who Joe Budden is, he was a rapper at Def Jam back in the day, but he also has a very popular podcast that was on Spotify, lots of fanfare, lots of media attention because the deal was ginormous, but he's leaving Spotify to now go over to Patreon. Why this is important? Two quick reasons and how this impacts you. Number one, Patreon is a subscription-based service. So basically creators, I don't care what type of artist or creator you are. I don't like every category of artistry. If you develop something and it's your work, you could be looking at Patreon where people would be subscribing by either $5 a month or $15 or $25 a month based off of the things that you put into your different levels. They would subscribe on a monthly basis to your content. So this removes the need to have things approved from any executives, the need to be able to get things looked through by legal, the need for any of that stuff, because now you're just directly dealing with your audience and allowing your audience to support you in any way they can financially to keep the production of your art, your thing going. So this is a big deal because it brings attention to Patreon, who a lot of YouTubers and a lot of gamers and a lot of other people that are artists and musicians have been known for some time that this is a way that you can actually monetize your art. But it hasn't, in my own opinion, gone as mainstream as it could. So having this type of announcement brings a lot of attention to this service. It got my attention. Not that I'm some big deal, but it just, in terms of like, wait, I've been thinking about subscriptions. I've been looking at it. I haven't made a move on it. Why haven't I? So it forced me to start re-looking at an area of possibility for us to fund our content ideas and let it happen through the people. And so it's getting attention for that perspective. And that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention, because maybe you've heard the word Patreon, but you don't understand what it is. Or maybe you're struggling trying to get your content out there and supported financially. Or maybe you don't have a background like I do in understanding how to sell brands and sponsors to connect with your idea. Or maybe you don't want to deal with brands and you just want to deal with the people. So Patreon is really getting a lot of great attention for all those reasons and more. But the second thing about this deal that really caught my attention is that they worked with Joe on a title, and he gave him a title for head of creator equity. What that means is now Joe has an actual role deeper inside of the executive ranks of the company to actually make sure that there is more equity being developed for creators. And that has been his biggest issue, coming from the record music business, making music where he felt like the system, really does the artist wrong and is all about controlling. And you get in and you find out it's not all that it's cracked up to being. So to get out of that system and then to go into podcasting after hosting his radio shows on New York stations and all that stuff, going into podcasting, starting to get distribution, sign a deal, finds himself in a similar situation, albeit he's getting paid, but still, is it the right amount of pay? Is it the right equity? Are they asking him to do things he doesn't want to do? All these things that, the suits or the executives or the industry or the system can apply pressure to an artist. And so he decides, I'm going to make a move. I'm going to go to Patreon, go solo, get my subscriptions and my income from the people that want to subscribe and support the content. But I also want to make sure that I'm playing an active role in making sure that there's equity for other creators. And so I think for that alone, man, hats off, kudos to you, impressive. You drive hope, you're showing us inspiration, you're breaking new ground, and you're creating new pathways for new people to monetize their skill set, their expertise, their entertainment, their gift, their talents in ways that maybe they have overlooked. So if you haven't, the point of this podcast episode is for you to check out Patreon and to really start taking more seriously the other avenue that Joe is showing us is a possibility for our own path. And that's Wake Up and Level Up. Peace.